The application process is something like the whole problem is that you need to start early, okay? And people have a difficult time deciding that whether they want to start, an MS or not directly after masters. And while they decide, the time goes by. So I decided that I want to go for a masters just after my intern. It was like it was in my mind before the start of my intern. I was like, I might go. I'll see what I think after my intern. And after my intern, I had made my mind that yeah, I'll go for a masters. And during my intern, I started preparing for GRE. I was like mid June. I started preparing for GRE. I prepare like my English is weak. Okay, so even after 2.5 months of preparation, I couldn't score above 160 in that. And there's a roommate of mine who scored 163 without any preparation. They were like, okay. So it greatly depends on your, like, I would say you are in an IIT and you'll mostly, if you do some practice, like 1 or 2 practice sets or 2 3 practice sets, you'll know that. So the quant part is like, I'm talking further about GRE. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention about that. So the quant part is like, it's so easy that you'll make silly mistakes. So it's more important to be attentive. So you have to learn to be attentive within easy problems. That is the whole challenge with quant, and people don't score. The maximum I know people have off their quant score is like 2 marks out of 170. So it's like, okay, you can do that if you practice enough, and it won't be difficult. But the English is very difficult, and English is like, I asked some of my natively English speaking friends. They're like, we don't talk that kind of English. It's like it's insane the kind of English they ask for on GRE. So that took me a lot of effort, and I prepared for 2.5 months, and I still couldn't score well. Anyways, I got into UCLA anyways, so that's good. But other than GRE, I guess you need to start developing a network early with alumni, with professors who can actually guide you through the process, because you'll have your SOPs and you'll have your resumes, a lot of things which are subjective, okay? And you need reviews from people who know the admission procedure. So because they have been through it, they know, they also don't know, like, I wouldn't say they know a lot because they have just applied once and they have not never been on an admissions committee. They just know what works, and they don't have a guarantee for that too. But they can at least guide your naive mind that you don't know anything, right? You have only been applying for industry interns and stuff, and the procedure is entirely different. So that's the challenge. You need to develop a network early. You need to start as early as possible. But I would say 1 semester of investment of time for applications is enough. So, like, if you start in August preparing for GRE, a month of GRE preparation, you can get a good score, as good a score you will get anyways. So I thought 2.5 months was overkill for me. Then TOEFL takes another 1 week or two at max. Your SOP takes a lot of time. You need to start earlier, again, 1.5 months or so, 2 months into the SOP. You need to develop a resume alongside. You need to have good relations with some professors outside your course interaction. Like, for example, I had interaction with Professor Amit Kumar Verma and Professor Bakir Mazari, and also some interaction outside the class with Professor Shantanu Mishra. These were the 3 recommenders for me. And if possible, have a fourth recommender just in case one recommender has some problem submitting one of your LORs at the deadline. I did face that for one of the universities which had an early deadline and the LOR wasn't ready. So the professor did work for me overnight, and I thank him for that. But okay, so LORs only come through relations, and LOR through only course interaction is not as useful, I would say. So if you are preparing for MS, and if you hadn't had any relations with any professors outside the courses so far, you need to develop them. You can also ask for a recommendation from an industry guy, but I don't know how good that would be unless that industry guy is very very well known. Other than that, SOPs take a lot of time, and you need to understand. So the main difficulty writing in SOP is, right, how to differentiate it from your resume. So that is the most difficult thing. I also found myself in that difficulty. So students generally find themselves very difficult to be able to differentiate their SOP from their resume, and that takes some time to set apart some information for SOP. Then GRE takes up time. Okay, one major thing is that while you're doing the applications, like the final application, when the deadlines are close, you need to be able to work very fast. You need to be able to keep in mind what applications you have submitted. Do you have a payments card which you can use for submitting payments for the applications? That's like a huge thing. Research about universities takes up a lot of time. I did try, but I wasn't able to, make my list short enough. I ended up applying to 10 universities, which was a huge waste of money. Like, I don't think anyone should apply beyond 5 or 6. That is the optimal number, I would say. 10 is a lot. You end up paying a lot, and you end up stressing yourself with a lot of applications. So you don't do that generally. So yeah, you keep 2 or 3, 2 ambitious schools, 2 or 3 moderate schools, 2 safe schools. That would be good. So I guess that is about what I can say in brief about the application procedure. But it can be said a lot. It's a semester long thing. So.